to future Alva, are you okay if he's played Griftwood?
Oh God.
I am all ears. The Ghost Fancast.
Hi guys, welcome back to the I Am All Ears podcast with me, Alva, and today I'm joined by Shanti, Katie, and Cammie's back with us.
Woo!
Hello.
Hi!
So by the time this episode will be released, Ghost will have been on their tour for about a week now. However, there's still plenty of festivals ahead of them. So today we're going to be running through some ritual etiquette, just some general concert etiquette in general, even if you're not going to Ghost, and also some festival tips. It'll be interesting to see if we all agree on some of these things that I put forward, or whether it will turn into a friendly debate. But yeah, first off, how is everyone?
Doing all right.
Good. I'm doing
Yes.
great.
So let's get started with some concert etiquette. I've been seeing a lot on Twitter, not just in the Ghost fandom, but just in different fandoms in general, that people have sort of pinpointed that since COVID, concert etiquette has gone down.
No, for me, I'm pretty new to concerts and I've never been to a festival. So when, I hear about concert etiquette, I'm like, like I said, I'm very new. So I don't know everything yet. But the one thing I see on Twitter is the sleeping outside in tents. That is apparently a very polarizing thing. So I would actually like to know y'all's opinions because my opinion, I've only been to Ghost concerts, so with Ghost, it's not really a big thing to sleep outside of the venue in a tent. But with other concerts, I wonder how you guys think about it.
I've been a My Chem fan since 2004, but I really got into them in 2007. And I started kind of following bits of, like, not as much to the extent of what I do with Ghost, but I started following them around whenever they were in the UK. And people still did it even back then. One time I got to a venue at like 6 in the morning, there was already like 50 plus people there who had been there overnight. So, and I used to follow like the groups of people that were older than me and who used to do the same thing, and they would camp out in the streets. And then I think during the Tumblr days when 21 Pilots were big, people would camp. So to me, it's just been fairly normal. It's just I've never done it just because I've always been too young. I don't know. And now I'm too old. I don't think I could hack it now.
I don't think camping is like weird in the sense because I feel like camping like to make sure that you like get to something really early, whether it's a concert or whatever it may be, like a drop of something, like like a new console dropped or the new iPhone dropped, like that's always like been a thing, just like camping out to make sure that you're like one of the first people to get it. So I don't think it's like a new thing. What I think may be happening is that I feel like more and more people are like getting involved in the concert scene. I think just because like social media is really blowing up a lot of artists. And so maybe it's just like it's like a new thing to them, but I don't think it's a new thing, period.
No, I mean it's definitely been a thing, like even like 80s, 90s media, you hear people talking about like camping to get the tickets, camping at the venue to get a spot. So I mean, as long as you're not being dirty and like leaving your trash behind or like being rude to people or being totally unsafe, I don't think it's really a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm British. I love to queue anyway, so it not phases me whatsoever.
You got a queue to queue. Come on.
Exactly. We literally did at one point. I can't remember what it was for, but I'm pretty sure there was the queue for the queue.
Oh yeah, that was also like a thing that I see a lot of people talking about is that, there are people who are shorter than others and there are other people who are saying like, "Oh, I should deserve a barrier spot because I don't know, I'm shorter than this person or I'm shorter than this person and persons at or the people at the barrier are so tall." Like, okay, so here's the deal. For all three of the concerts that I went to, I queued early because I wanted a barrier spot. So, in my honest opinion, if you want a certain spot when you have general admission, you should queue early. You shouldn't like
Mm,
expect that you're going to get it because you're short. Like I'm in American size, I'm 5'2". So
same.
like yeah, so we shouldn't expect others to bring us forward because we're shorter than them. We can always kindly ask them like, "Hey, is it okay if I stand in front of you? I'm quite short. Is it okay for me to be at the barrier and you behind me?" And then, do a favor back if they're saying like, "Oh, I need to go to the toilet," and it's currently like the switches between groups. You can be like, "Oh yeah, I'll keep your spot behind me." Like that I can completely understand, but don't expect that you can get a certain spot. Even when you go early to queue, you don't always get what you want. And I think that's
Mm,
something should be expected. But yeah, even if people at queue start writing down numbers on their hands, the one thing I've noticed of all 3 times that I've went is that every time when I've got a number on my hand, yeah, sure, I got all times barrier, but people run. People are mean. Like
mm.
the moment the barrier run starts, people are running and some people are falling, and it's awful.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
I went to the Trinity of Terror show in Orlando just last year, and that was a mess. Because there was a lot of people who were just like, oh, they the same thing, like I'm shorter, so I deserve barrier, and it's just like, well, you don't really. I don't know. I don't want to say like you don't deserve anything, but it's just like you don't have to like have this sense of entitlement, like just because like so and so you deserve a better spot or something. Like if someone got there before you, then more likely they're going to get this. They're probably going to get the spot that you want.
Mm.
And yeah, I know like they were trying to do like an organized line to get actually, and it was an outdoor venue, and they were trying to do an organized line like after you scanned your ticket and everything, then you were supposed to get a line up to this gate, and they were gonna kind of like let you in trying to do a single file. And then there was like a line for maybe 5 seconds, and then everyone just kind of crowded this barricade and like overwhelmed security, and like security didn't know what to do, and then they end up just opening the gates, and then they just fucking booked it. Like everyone was running, like it was like really scary, like what was happening. And like I got there really early too, and I didn't get barrier, and it got to a point where I had to like leave the pit because like everyone was just being like so obnoxious, so rude. There was like punching, people were passing out, and it was just awful. I wasn't even having fun.
I don't fully understand why venues don't do organized lines.
I
Like,
was gonna say, have you seen the Harry Styles and Taylor Swift tours
yes,
recently? How they've been perfect.
I don't understand why it's not like normalized for venues to
Mm.
do that.
Yeah, they've got like those little like tape bits where the whole standing area is practically taped off, so you can't run out of like line. And the guy who is, it's usually actually the tour manager. It's usually someone pretty high up, close to the band, nothing to do with the venue. They literally will walk the people down to the barrier for them, and then once the people that have been there all day have got their spot, then they take away that tape, and the floor becomes open again. And I'm like, that works because the barrier run is so fucking anxiety inducing, especially when they're like, don't run, and you don't want to get like grabbed by a security guard who's trying to stop you from running, but then someone else just yeets past you.
Yes, I've had that in Brussels. So we had problems with our tickets for some reason. The one guy that was scanning our ticket it wasn't working. And then when
Mm.
we got in, we were walking and I was just like I was I wasn't I wasn't I wasn't running. I was just walking
I'll
relatively
walk.
fast. Yeah, a small power walk. But there were people next to me and behind me who were suddenly in front of me because they ran. And for some reason, I got stopped and said like, "Don't run." I'm like, "Sir, I'm not
Mm.
running." But yeah, you get what you get when you go to a concert, I guess. You have to kind of
Yeah.
take it. The only place where you know you're going to get a certain spot is when you have seats, I guess.
Yeah. I will say, just as a 5'2" person, going back to the entitled short person thing, It is annoying, and for some reason, this only ever happens to us short people. It's when you don't get someone who's like 5'10", 6 foot in front of you. You always get the one person who is close to pushing 7 foot in front of you
Yes.
out of the whole room, and it's like a magnet, and that's annoying. But like you say, to avoid that, you get there early and try and get barrier spot or closer.
Or you're just like nice about it. You just ask. Like when I went to the Ghost show in Los Angeles in March, like when I came back from my meet and greet, like I was able to get back to basically where I was. And there was this guy, and I was like talking to him before, like before Twin Temple even came on. I was like talking to him before, and this dude like literally was like a 7 foot tall Viking man, like with the long hair and everything. And like so he was significantly taller than me, and I could barely see like the last bit of Volbeat. And I just said like I'm so sorry, is there like any way I could like possibly be in front of you? Because like literally me being in front of him wouldn't have affected his view at all. And he's like, no, of course, yeah, get right in front of me. But yeah, like I just asked, I just said like, hey, I'm shorter than you, would this be okay? And he said yeah.
Yeah, I've said this in the chat before. If you want to get kindness, give kindness in return. So as long as you be kind to other people and just you respectfully say something, respectfully ask them something, you'll most likely get something kind in return. So that's probably like a thing with the whole like drama with etiquette right now, is that people, especially like in the times of now, don't know how to be nice. And I say this very broadly, but some people just like aren't nice anymore, and that's probably a thing that you see on concerts right now. Today on TikTok, I was scrolling and there were videos of the August D concerts that were going on, and there were people getting kicked out because they were just like awful. They were having fights, and does anyone remember with I Prevail that people started leaving
Yeah.
after
I
the
saw that.
one? I feel that's a thing with concert etiquette too. And once again, like I'm new and I know that leaving in the middle of a concert is like, why the fuck would you do that? That's so disgusting in my opinion.
Like there's people who like they don't respect the openers. Like I know like like sometimes when you go to a concert, maybe you're there for like a specific person, like you're there for a specific band, whether that's the opener or the headliner. But either way, you got to respect like everyone that's at that venue. Like if you're not there for the opener, respect them, like give them a chance, listen, like don't like ignore them or like look annoyed or anything. Like that always bothers me when people are like annoyed during the opener. It's like, well, obviously the headliner like likes this artist and having them open for them, and same thing, like the opener likes the headliner and that's why they're like collabing together. So I just hate like when people like get like super mean when they're like they make it like blatantly obvious that they're there for one person and they're just like disrespectful to the other.
For sure.
Right, and I know that was, like, a huge problem with Volbeat on the pre-Imperator,
Oh
in the
yeah.
US. People were really, really rude about it and was like, "Okay, you don't have to love Volbeat, that's fine, but, like, why be rude about it? Like, it doesn't have to be your taste."
I saw that especially when some of the members from Volbeat had COVID. The responses, Jesus.
Oh, like people were like they were like, "Oh, good," because like they got COVID and they couldn't perform, and they're just like, "Good, now I can see ghosts." And it's like, "No, that's fucking rude."
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fucked up.
End of the day, ghosts are at risk.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember there was this video when Ghost started the tour with Volbeat. There was this video someone took like from like a high up seat inside the venue, and like everyone like stood like a statue like during like Volbeat's set,
Yeah.
and
Saw
like
that.
they were just like it was so fucking rude, and it's just like have a good time. That's what you're there for. I know you're there for one person, but like don't be mean.
But the EU tour of last year too, we had Twin Temple and Uncle Acid and the Deadbeats. Yeah, them too. I don't know if you remember them, Alva, but they're not metal or anything like similar to Twin Temple. They're not metal, but everyone likes Twin Temple in general. But they were very new to Uncle Acid, and for some reason, the responses that some people had at the EU tour towards Uncle Acid, people were just standing still. And I started noticing that when we were waiting on Ghost to come up, we started people entering into the venue after Twin Temple and Uncle Acid were already up and done and over with. People started entering the
Yeah.
venue. And like, okay, I can completely understand it if you're just like you're late or you had some trouble getting in. But if it's for a reason, like if it's for the fact that Twin Temple or for Uncle Acid were before Ghost, it's I don't know. I feel like it's a bit weird.
I mean, they were quite a mellow band, so I don't know if that had anything to do with the stillness. But yeah, at the same time, you've got to, just make it a vibe, and
Yeah,
everyone will have a good time.
just vibe along. Just
Mm.
just have fun.
This does kind of lead me into one of my next points, because I was talking to someone about this, and this isn't actually to do with the support acts. This is to do with the headliners. So say with Ghost, for example, what do you think about people who judge other people for sort of dancing and getting excited,
Oh my
especially down in
god.
the front row?
I dance, I sing along, I do everything. I'm just having fun. And that's why you're there and that's why I'm there. I'm there to have fun and I'm listening to good music and I'm appreciating in whatever way I want. If people get
Mm.
mad at me for moving a lot or for singing too loudly or for dancing too much, I do try my best to not invade anyone's personal space. I'm in my space.
Yeah, just
So,
watch your elbows. That's
Yeah.
my only thing about it is just watch your elbows. Don't scream so loud, like over the singer. So like, because at the end of the day, we're
yes,
here to listen to Papa sing. I want to be able to hear him, but sing along, dance
yes.
about. Just watch your elbows.
Yeah.
Don't elbow me in the. I'll excuse the odd knock on my body, but if you keep elbowing me in the face after about 6 times, then I might have a problem.
Yes.
But then it's also that's a me problem kind of thing. But
Yeah.
other than that, go off, sis.
N I mean, that's what concerts are for. The concerts are there so that you can fully, be as excited as, the music obviously makes you feel. It's welcome.
Exactly.
It's just going back to what we've been saying of, you just have to be respectful of the people around you. Like, what was it? I went to a festival and Rob Zombie was performing, and I fucking love Rob Zombie. So I was really excited and I was dancing around, but there was this guy who was jumping up and down and he elbowed me in the face 5 times. And I'm not a violent person, but I was this close to punching him in the face because I was like, please stop. Go in the pit, please. Go in the circle.
I think similar to moving around a lot and just like vibing, there are a lot of people who are talking about standing up from your seats when you have seat spots. I've seen a few people talking about like if you have be seated, and there are people who are getting mad at it, saying like I'm at a concert to have fun. If I don't want to stay seated, then I won't stay seated. But that's like there's a whole thing about it that some people have seats because of disabilities.
Right, that's what I was
And
gonna say.
yeah, they have seats for disabilities and or because they have disabilities, sorry. And like if someone's suddenly standing up right in front of you, I've seen videos of people literally the moment the music starts, some people stand up from the seats and immediately run to the barrier of the seating spots. I don't know how to explain that.
No, I've
But
got you.
yeah, but like I've seen people talking about that and that's awful. Like don't do that. There are people who have disabilities who can't stand up. I do fully say that if you have the ability to stand up and vibe basically, yeah, sure, have fun. But again, be respectful to the people around you and if they ask you to sit down, sit down. Like,
Hmm.
it's not that hard. You can also ask them beforehand, be like, "Hey, look, I really like this music. Is it okay for me to stand up and vibe along?" And we say like, "Yeah, fine. It's no problem. Then sure, have fun." But if they kindly tell you, "Oh, I'm sorry, I have a disability or something. I can't stand up," and it would like invade my view, yeah, be respectful about it.
I think the problem is, and it's weird because we live in such a world which is so connected in terms of communication via online that we don't communicate in person anymore and just communicate basic, like just ask questions or be nice to one another or be like, is this okay? Can I do this? And ask for things rather than
Yeah.
just assume you can do everything.
Yeah, and talking about getting seats, in Austin, I started out in the pit down with you, Alva, and
Yeah.
then it just by the end of the night, my friend Badger and I, we had to sit. Like we had to go sit down by the trash cans because we were just our bodies were exhausted. And so it's like this time around, we're like, okay, we're planning ahead. We're just gonna get seats because like, we had such a rough time with it last time. And if someone were standing up in front of us the whole time, like, that would be very upsetting because, like, we're gonna miss the whole show, and we're there to see the show as well. So, like, if you know that you are the type of person who wants to stand and maybe, like, you can't stand for the whole time, so you're not gonna be in the pit, like, you can check the seating chart and see, like, where is it gonna be okay for me to stand? Are there gonna be people behind me here in this section? Like,
Mm.
you can that's something you can plan for if you know that you wanna stand, but you can't stand in the pit, like, just think about other people. I feel like that's what everything boils down to is, like, you are not the only person there, you're not the only person who loves the band, and you just have to think about other people.
Maybe look into aisle seats or those seats that have like the walkway behind so that you're not completely at the back, but like I'm not very good at explaining. You know where like the doors are to get into the seating area and then you can either go up or
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
And then sometimes
Right.
because there's like a wall, if you get one of those where you're still in the front lower section of the seating but you're at the back so you're not if you stand up you've just got concrete behind you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Great.
And,
Yeah.
actually, I have a seat that is like that because, like, my sister was like, "Well, like, do I have to be seated the whole time? Can I, like, stand up? Because my sister's gonna come with us. This is, like, her first concert ever, and, like, I'm introducing her to go, so I'm very excited." Um, so it was like, "Well, yeah, you don't have to, like, we have a seat where if you feel like you wanna stand up, you can sit in this seat because there's not gonna be anybody behind you."
That's great. Quickly moving on to this. This is a little bit controversial, and in this opinion of mine, is we were just talking about obviously like personal space and respecting other people's. However, I feel like with certain bands, I feel like if you're at Ghost, this doesn't apply too much. Like you're still gonna have people pretty much arm to arm with you. However, I feel like a lot of people need to potentially lower their expectations of how much personal space they're gonna get if you're like first two rows. Because in 2017, I went to see Avenged Sevenfold, and I was second row, and this girl who was on the barrier was giving me the evils and like pushing me away, like even though I was getting crushed from behind, so I couldn't help but like be bumping into her. And I was like, if you're gonna be down the front, expect to be touching people. And I don't know, does anyone else agree or disagree with that?
Yeah,
No, I agree for
I
sure.
agree.
with one of the concerts I went to for Ghost, my first one for Brussels. I think like with it being my first concert, I was kind of not expecting so many people touching me the entire time. But
Mm.
there was a clear difference between being constantly touched because there's just no space and I was at barrier, but there was also like people who were constantly touching me kind of inappropriately.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
that's a no-no completely.
yeah, I've
Yeah.
there was also like the people who were maybe this is for another point that we're going to talk about. So people were trying to come forward from another spot behind me. They were trying to get to the barrier spot.
Oh, like they just showed up and then tried to
Yeah,
claim
but
forward.
we can talk about that at a different time. But there were some people who were quite literally just like basically grinding on me at
Mm.
Brussels, and it was so weird because again, it was my first concert, so I kind of expected it and not expected something like that to happen.
Mm.
And I first thought that was normal, but then I went to Hanover and it was totally different there. There were people, like, constantly touching me, but it was respectfully, I guess. It
Mm.
wasn't inappropriately. And then München too, there was actually kind of a bear of a guy standing behind me, but he was respecting my
Mm.
distance, and, there were people, of course, touching me every once in a while, but it wasn't inappropriately like in Brussels that happened to me. So
Mm.
I did notice eventually that was weird. So again, just be kind, understand that you won't have all the space towards you or to you, better said, but you know, you can be nice.
Yeah, I think because I've been going to like punk shows and stuff since I was a little kid. And especially if you're like in the first couple of rows, I'm just used to being so surged forward. Like I've been on barriers where I'm literally getting my lungs coughed up and crushed. And to me, that's just normal as much as it freaking hurts.
Hmm.
So even just having like sort of standing shoulder to shoulder with someone and someone getting annoyed about that, I'm like, bro, I could be like flat against you. This is spacious to me. Like we've got like I could fit a whole like piece of paper between us. Like plenty of room. But yeah, I'm used to like again, it's like you said, sometimes bodies are just going to touch and there's nothing you can do. Like if you are in a crowd where there's like a surge, and especially if you identify as sort of female and you've got a male behind you and they're kind of pressed against you. I've had quite a few guys I turn around and they're like, I'm really sorry about this, but obviously the crowd has surged forward and they've just got their hands kind of out the way so I can see where their hands are. And that's totally cool. Like, sure, I'm sorry that we're like sardine together, but at least you're not trying to grab my ass while in the process.
It just boils down to just communicating with the people around you and just like understanding there are other people around you that touching may happen and it may just be completely out of your control. And as long as you're just
Mm.
like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't mean to be all up on you. Like, if you acknowledge it, like, I feel like you kind of like clear yourself for a second at least.
Yeah.
Like, if you just acknowledge, I'm like, I don't want to be, I don't mean to be this close. I'm literally forced to be this close.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Especially when pits open up like mid set. So sometimes like a set could be quite calm, but then if a certain song comes on and the pit opens up,
Hmm.
obviously there's a big space that's opened up in the crowds
Oh
and
yeah.
people have got to go somewhere. So there will just be a bit of a surge and all of a sudden there'll be a wave of just movement and then suddenly you're knocked over, but like and you might knock into someone else, but it just happens and you just apologize. There's no need to start a fight over it.
Piggybacking off of that, so sometimes that's it's not going to happen at a ghost show, by the way, like because Papa doesn't like circle pits or anything like that, so it probably won't happen like just like that. But if you happen to be at a show where like mosh pits and circle pits are a thing, and then you'll have that like surge of movement where everyone gets pushed. If
Mm.
someone falls down, pick them up,
Yes.
Yes.
please.
I'm glad you've said that. That's on my notes.
Yes. No, no, I was gonna say because it happened to me at Rob Zombie. Like I got there, I got a pretty good spot for Rob Zombie, and then a circle pit formed, and I got pushed, and like I fell down, and like it was crazy because like that was at Rockville, which was like maybe like a month or two after the whole Astro World thing. So
Oh,
like the fear that went through me, I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna fucking die. And then like five people immediately got me up and they're like, are you okay? Are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine, I'm fine. And then I don't go find my friends afterwards.
I just want to also, yeah, reiterate about what Cami said about Papa has said at many, many shows, especially there's that one video of Terzo where he gets super pissed, and it's super hot about someone trying to start a mosh pit. And obviously, Tobias has said many times that Go Show is inclusive for all ages and, small kids, small people. He wants to make sure everyone's having a good time and not getting hurt. So just eliminating moshing in general is probably just the safest way to go, which is funny because he comes from like a big, heavy death metal background. So you'd think he'd be all about
Yeah.
it. But
Yeah.
no, like I kind of like that he's all sort of for the safety and, doesn't
That
encourage that sort of thing.
actually, I just wrote it down, but like, didn't he one time say that he didn't want people to crowd surf too for the
Yeah.
safety of others?
Yeah,
But
yeah, he did.
that's the weird thing is that it still happens with ghost shows.
Mm,
That like the 3 shows that I've been to, like all 3 of them have had crowd surfers, and if the band tells you, like the band itself tells you not to do it, you respect it. You
exactly.
you won't do what they ask you to do. Like they're still supposed to be the main person on stage.
Hmm.
But it's the one thing that still sadly enough happens at ghost shows in particular, is that crowd surfing still happens, and you just kind of have to take it in stride, I guess. And Tobias might, or well, Papa will on stage tell people not to do it, and then you have to listen to it. But like if it happens again,
Imagine
because
getting dipped by Papa.
uh
Do you really want that on your conscience that you did something and Papa pointed it out and like said, please don't do that? Like imagine.
yes, like
I would
imagine that
I
would
would
happen. I
die.
don't want that. Yes, I would scream,
I would
and shout.
literally die of shame. Like,
Yes,
For real.
May I ask real quick, the ghost shows that you went to, were they outdoors or indoors?
indoors.
And they still happened?
Yeah, that
Weird, because
it was a constant in Belgium in the Go Show of Brussels. We had crowd surfers who would continuously do it. Like we would see the same person suddenly being up front again, being escorted out towards the back again, and would suddenly be there again. Like it was like a full circle that these people were constantly doing, and it's like you could kick them out. You could kick them out of the concert if they could keep on doing it, but like the first time you can just put them in the back again. But that was a constant in Brussels and Hanover, not as much. We had like maybe 2 or 3, and München, I was luckily in a spot that didn't really have any crowd surfers, and I
Mhm.
think only one happened in München, but Brussels was the worst one. It was just again constantly the same 3 or so people that kept on doing it. It was awful, but yeah.
That's interesting just because like at least I know in at least where the venues I've been to, a lot of indoor venues don't allow crowd surfing indoors. Some outdoor venues they allow it, but I know when I went to what was the name of the tour with Green Day and Fall Out Boy and Weezer?
Oh, Hella Megatour.
Hella Megatour. Okay, so at Hella Megatour, I know they made a thing like crowd surfing was not allowed, and anyone that was caught crowd surfing was immediately kicked out.
We
Yeah.
have those signs up over in the UK, and some venues I've been to, I think they do like a 3 strikes and you're out thing, so they'll allow it 3 times. But there is like signs pretty much in all the UK venues that say like, crowd surfers will be ejected. But to be honest, like the security don't always follow the rules, and people don't follow the rules. They'll just do whatever.
Yeah. In Brussels, we had a girl who was having, I don't know, I don't remember if it was an epileptic attack or anything, but she needed to sit down and needed to have something to drink, and the guards, they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't give her anything to drink, even though they had like bottles of water right next to them that were unopened for COVID times. Like, no, they wouldn't do it. So guards, guards.
We love them, but they also just
Yeah, sometimes they'll have that like ego power trip thing and will
Yes.
just take advantage.
I know the last couple shows I went to, I think there was like a couple guards or like they had like a couple bottles of water and they would go around to like Some of the people at the front end, they would just like waterfall it in, like so it wouldn't touch you or anything. You were just getting the water.
All right, so the next point I've got, and this is another controversial one,
Mm.
is filming and taking photos. What do we think?
I do it.
I'm very, very guilty of this because I study photography, I do photography as my job, and like I've got a fucking ghost Twitter account now. Like I want to get the content out, but I can understand if it's like continuous and
Yes.
you, especially if you're short, can only see this person's screen in front of you instead of the band.
Yes.
So again, it's just, I guess, be courteous. It's people, why don't we use
Yeah.
common sense anymore? Like, come
Yeah.
on. This is just everything we're discussing, it is just common sense.
Yeah, that's where it's so funny for me being someone who was new towards the concert scene. I came in after COVID happened, or is still happening in between, you know. But I came in like every other new person, and it was for me a lot of common sense not to do certain things. And it surprised me. Like, I will say this, I take a lot of videos and I take a lot of pictures, but I don't like constantly do it. And I usually keep it at like my eye level. So
Yeah,
that it's
same.
not like so that's not like upwards. And that's where I'm also like trying to get barrier so
Mhm.
that I can even put it lower so that it's like on my chest or something or like at the barrier spot. But I try not to like invade someone else's like space, like I said. Um, but I mainly do it because I have the memory of a fucking fly. Yeah, when I come home, I wanna I sometimes feel like I wasn't actually at that concert. So I don't know if anyone else feels like this, but it's like a feeling of knowing you've been somewhere, you've been at a concert, but like the moment it happened and you're like an hour or so later, or like next day or the week after, you're like, oh, I was there? Question mark, question mark, question mark. And then you have
Yes.
to go through your
I know
phone.
exactly what you're feeling.
Yeah, I have
Yeah,
to go
yeah,
through my
no, I definitely
phone
get that.
and be like, oh yeah, yeah, I was there. This happened to me. Oh my God. That's where I'm always happy to seeing other people's videos of concerts I've been at because I can be
Yeah.
like, oh my God, that's me right there. This happened to me right there. I can be like, oh, but be respectful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know I definitely do the same thing. I definitely record because I like literally I have the memory of of the goldfish. Like I can't remember like just these random things that happened or exactly how they happened. So I want to be able to like look back at some videos and like relive that experience because I know that's why I do it. And then I also like, you know, sharing it with, you know, my friends and like the people on like Twitter or whatever and TikTok. Like I like sharing it with them, like, look at this, look at how cool this was. But I know I do the same thing and that I make sure that like it's at my eye level or lower. And that's one of the reasons why I like getting barriers so that I'm not I'm not forced to be able to see the concert through my phone. And I also don't want someone like behind me to have that experience either, like seeing the whole concert through their phone. So I
Yeah.
definitely don't like people who like shove their phones up in the air and like that's all you can see like for miles. Like you can like see like you can kind of see the singer and like the rest of the band, but then your vision's like crowded with all these phones. Like that's very frustrating. Yeah, it just goes back to just being respectful and being respectful of others, but also just being respectful of like the artist because like if especially if you're really obnoxious about it, I know the artist can also get annoyed. I'm
Yeah.
thinking I'm thinking back to that video that went viral where someone filmed Terzo while they were being
Oh,
Cerise. He was
Yeah,
Cerising
oh
a phone
God.
the whole time.
That is exactly what I was thinking about too
yeah,
when
me
you were mentioning
too.
it. Just like, oh my God, you're having like the most amazing thing ever happening to you. And like, you can't even put your phone down and make eye contact with a
Yeah.
person who is like wooing you. Like,
He was
please,
like he literally was
why?
trying so hard. Like he was trying to make eye contact so hard and she kept moving the phone. I'm like, girl, are you
He kept like
serious right now?
looking around it and she just
Oh,
was like boom, 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 like right in his face and is like, that is so rude.
Oh,
interestingly, obviously we've got the whole no phones thing in LA.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think they're filming it. I think, in my
Same.
honest opinion, I think they're gonna try and produce a concert video for LA.
I
I
think so
think
too. Catch Me in 4K Crying People coming out 2024.
we're
That
gonna do a try "Where's Alpha" moment on our podcast and be like, "Oh, she's at
Yes.
0.42 seconds."
I'm putting that on my IMDb page. Girl at front row crying, ghost concert. No, also Bestie just keeps ignoring my emails about getting me a photo pit, so I like to be down the front, so I am basically in the photo pit, just behind a barrier. I'm joking. I've never actually emailed Ghost for a photo pit because I know I've got no fucking chance of ever getting photo pit. I don't work for anyone major in the music industry yet, maybe.
Yes.
Um, I do have my own blog actually that I have set up. That's a music review site, but that's a story for another time. Anyway,
Ooh.
before we move on to festivals, is there any other tips that people want to throw out there for concerts?
I was talking about this before, about the moving forward when you're somewhere at the back. Try
Oh
not to
yeah.
do that. Again, it comes down to being early to queue, you'll get the spot you want. And if you're late to queue, don't start trying to move forward. That's just plain rude. Like, you can ask, like, hey, look, I'm small. Is it okay for me to move forward? You can ask, but
Mm,
expect a yes or expect a no, but you won't always get what you want. There's
Mhm.
still others.
I think it's just a matter of also, like, just taking responsibility, and again, just going back to what we just keep on saying, is just communicating with the people around you. And like, like, don't be mean about it. Like, I know it was really complicated, like, during the ghost shows if you had VIP, because you were, like, basically forced to leave, like, during the opener, and then you had to come back. And then I know a
yeah.
lot of people were scared to leave because they were afraid of not getting their spot back.
Mm,
I know for me, for both times I did it, I communicate with the people around me, just so like I had like faces I could kind of associate with, like with a spot, and like I made friends with people, and I asked like, hey, is there any way like you could like hold my spot, like while I go do this, like can I bring you back anything? Like always, if you're gonna ask someone to do something, always like see what you can do for them. Like if you're
Yeah.
gonna leave and make them hold your spot, like see if you like grab them like a drink or something, since you're gonna be away anyway. Um,
yeah.
but always offer something. Sometimes they'll say no, like it's fine, and sometimes they will say something and honor it, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, like, and then when I had to go back, I'm just like, I'm so sorry, excuse me, I'm just trying to get back to my friend, and like some people might get mean about it, but I knew deep down I was being honest. Like I was trying to get back to my friend. Like my friend was waiting at barrier for me. Like she was by herself. So like I had
Yeah.
to go back. So I knew I wasn't lying, and I was just being as nice as possible. I tried to make sure I wasn't shoving people around. I wasn't being rude. I was just like, I'm so sorry. And like I wasn't doing it during a song or anything. Like I waited while Mastodon was like kind of finishing up for me to like
Yeah.
be like, I'm so sorry, excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to do a whole cover on that whole thing anyway, like
Yeah.
with meet and greets. I mean, we'll do a whole episode with meet and greets and like how you can kind of make that work. And I mean, fingers crossed they bring meet and greets back, but fingers crossed they change it up where you don't have to do this. But we'll like share probably some more in-depth tips on that because it's yeah, similar sort of thing. You just got to communicate, and as shy as you can be. Like I believe it or not, I keep saying this. I am actually a shy person. I just talk a lot. Um, and I know I can understand it can be scary to strike up conversations with strangers around you, but honestly, it is the best fucking weapon you can have in
Yeah.
the meet and greet situation, is just
Mhm.
to communicate with people around you.
It's also nice just to meet other people that are probably from the same area as you, who are there for the exact same reason as you.
Yeah.
I couldn't relate to my show, but hey ho. I was on a different
It was
fucking continent.
it was still nice to meet like other fans though. It's still
Yeah.
nice to meet people that like love a band just as much as you, that they're going out and seeing them in concert.
Actually, me
Yeah.
being from so far away played in my favor because people were like, I said like obviously, oh, I need to go for a meet and greet and come back, and they were like, oh yeah, you flew like 5,000 miles to get here. Of course, you deserve to be back. We'll hold your spot, like blah blah blah. So that was nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that kind of not the exact same thing happened, but my very first ghost show, like not that many people were like dressed up or anything. Like it was like a lot of people just wearing regular clothes and like ghost shirts or whatever. There was only like maybe a handful of people like in like costume and makeup and stuff. And I wore a nun costume and I had Terzo makeup on, and like I think I was like one of the only people in there dressed like that. And I remember all these people like saw me. They're like, "Oh, wait, we gotta make room for sister. Sister's gotta come and see this."
Oh, that's cool.
That was really nice.
All right, so we're running slowly out of time, so I'm going to try and push on to festivals. So Cami, you've said you've been to a festival before. Did you do camping, or is it like a day or weekend festival where you go off and on site?
It was a weekend festival. So I've been to Rockville. It's now in Daytona, Florida. But that's a weekend festival. It's 4 days. It's like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They do have a camping option where you can actually like camp on site and like have like a camper and everything over there. But it's kind of like a free for all to enter, and there's multiple people playing throughout the day. I'm pretty sure it's similar to Download.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I didn't camp there. I had a hotel nearby and I just kind of like showed up and then did that.
Yeah. So that is an option that you can do with the same with any of the European festivals. Katie, just checking with you. Have you ever been to a festival?
I haven't actually. My first concert experience was Ghost. So
Oh, okay. Great. Well then, I've got some tips for you guys. And Cami, have you ever camped in general, or has anyone ever camped in general, just outside of a
No,
music experience?
no,
Um,
I've never done a festival either. So
so I've never done
Veteran.
the official camping where like I had like a tent or anything, but I've definitely like been at a venue like super super early, and I just kind of had to like bide my time for like
Ah.
multiple hours.
Okay, well then. Okay, so here's my tips as a veteran of Download Festival, because I've been going for about 7 years now, so I consider myself a veteran. I've also been to Red and Leeds a few times. Oh my god, don't go there, people, if you can. That's a whole nother story for another time. But I also was in Girl Guides and Girl Scouts, so we used to go camping a lot as well, and do the survival wilderness thing. So I think I'm quite what's the word, qualified to talk about
Yes.
this. Okay, so some tips. Don't overpack for the love of God, and I need to listen to this myself because I do it every fucking year. With a lot of festivals, where the car park is, especially if you're going to Download, which by the way, that's where Ghosts are playing at as one of the first festivals this. Oh no, actually they're doing Revolution Fest first, I think. But Download's one of the big ones that they're doing. The car parks are usually very far away from where you will be camping.
Mhm.
Especially if you're coming by public transport, the drop-offs are also very far. So again, you're gonna have to carry a lot of shit, so try not to overpack. And then when you are packing, especially if you're in Europe, prepare for both weathers and don't
yes,
listen to the weather forecast, because honestly, you will be getting pissed on one day, quite literally, by the weather and by some drunk guy. So bring some waterproofs, but also like you'll get sunburnt within the next day as well.
yeah,
So yeah, pack for all weathers. Going back with the long walks, wear some comfortable shoes, like not all wellies, especially, or like welly. What do you guys? Is it rain boots that you call them in the States?
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean
yeah,
though. Rain boots.
yeah,
They're
yeah. We
not
know what
always.
wellies are.
Okay, just check it. If anyone doesn't know rain boots, they're not always the comfiest, but like if you can find some comfy ones with like insoles and stuff like that, just wear something that's comfy. Don't wear fucking Dr. Martens. I swear to God, you'll break your feet. Or
oh
at least
God,
if you've got broken in ones.
oh
Um,
thank God,
yeah. And then if you're going to Download Festival, they keep changing the layout of the festival, sometimes for better, for some worse. But you can expect to walk up to 40 minutes from where your campsite is to the arena. However, if you do have a disability, there is the disabled camps, which are next to the arena, so it minimalizes the walk time, and there's usually more accessible pavements so that you can get to and from camp. Whereas if you're in the regular camp, you're usually squalling through the field and gravel and all sorts of shit. And also, there's some really great viewing platforms that you can. It's download. Actually, I've got a shout out. Is actually really good from what I experienced, not firsthand, but just from friends who have disabilities. They have kind of said it's one of the most accessible festivals. So shout out to Download for that. I would say the biggest as well is take your own toilet roll. I don't think I have to explain that. The Portaloos are fucking. Actually, downloads aren't that bad. I can't speak for every festival. Downloads aren't that bad. Renly's ones are freaking disgusting. Downloads are they're not great, but just take your own toilet roll. You'll thank me later. I
Yeah.
also would say plan your bands ahead. Like make sure you know exactly what time they're going on stage, which stage they're on, and just have a generalized idea. Obviously, all the concert etiquette we've been discussing that applies. You know, again, just use your common sense and be courteous to people. Again, if you're in Europe, maybe less if you're in like a hot. I feel like if you're going to Coachella where it's less likely to rain and it's actually really hot, like this doesn't apply. But if you're in Europe, I would avoid single skin tents. Get a tent that's got like an outer and then like a bedroom compartment thing that you hang up inside, because if it rains, it's just some extra protection. Yeah, because I've had single skin tents where you're like, especially if you've got stuff pressed against it, the condensation, Emma, the condensation, will just trickle down, and anything you touch will just become wet.
That's the general camping advice, though. Don't put anything against the wall of your tent because if it rains, you are fucked.
Exactly, but it's scary how not a lot of people weirdly know basic camping. But yeah, also again another basic camping thing is have something that is between you and the floor. If you can fit in an airbed, that is the best thing because it gives you like a maximum amount between you and the floor, or if at least put like a foam thing because it gets fucking cold at night. It may be like 30 degrees, which I know isn't that hot in some places, but for us Brits, that's like you may as well put us in the Sahara Desert. It might be 30 degrees in the day, but come the evening, it will drop to like minus something, and you don't want to be freezing your tits off. And also, my big hack with this is don't get a sleeping bag. If you can, get 2 duvets, one for underneath you and one for on top. You'll be much warmer. And then my final tip for this is very specific also to download, especially, but actually it does apply to all festivals, is earplugs will save your freaking life. Download Festival is next to East Midlands Airport, and when I say next to, I mean literally there is the gate in between. Like there are planes going over you constantly, like at low what's the word, angle. They're basically just taking off. But also if you're at another festival, people will just be loud at all hours. So like if you want to get some sleep, earplugs and ding ding ding, that is my tips. I don't know if anyone else has got anything to add to that.
I think I have something. So again, so I'm going to Grass Pop. So this is my first time I'm going to a festival, and I am immediately doing the full experience. So that means camping and all the days that Grasspop has listed. For all the Dutchies out there, Gaspop, if you don't know what the wording is in English. But I'm going for the first time, and I think something that I can definitely recommend for like travel, get either a trolley or one of those grandma carts you see
Grandma
people have.
carts all the way.
Yes, get either one of those two to put like your stash inside. They will save your ass when you're going to, use public transport, or you are going from your car to the camping spot. I don't know how far the parking or how far the public transport is for Grasspop. Very sorry about that. But another thing I can say is that definitely go on social media. I highly recommend going to the If you have one of those, go on Reddit and go to one of the r slash Reddits and just check the posts out. So if you're going to Grasspop, go to r slash Grasspop and just go through some of the messages and questions that are posted there. There are currently a lot of people who are asking information on those Reddits for those festivals, for like information as first time goers, or if you're going from another country to a certain festival, just check that Reddit. Those are the first place you can immediately find some information, and perhaps watch some YouTube tutorials on festival going, or even TikTok can help. I recently found a TikTok of someone telling me I should probably invest in one of those portable chargers that are on solar power. So, like, as someone who's going for the full thing and I don't want to spend too much money on electricity, just get yourself some solar powered power banks. Those will probably save your life a little bit. But
Yeah.
definitely listen to the people. And when it comes down to camping gear, you most likely want to get new stuff if you're new to if you're new to festivals and camping, because you'll have it forever. But if it's your first time and you don't know if you're gonna keep on doing it, try and get it either secondhand, but test it out first, like do a water test and everything so that it doesn't leak, better said, or get it from someone who is a festival veteran, basically. Then you know that their gear that you're taking over is good. So
I
that's it.
I personally, and a few of the people that have agreed with me on this, is I would personally stay clear of anything that's like pop up, like a pop up tent,
Yes.
just for stability reasons and other stuff. But yeah, you can get these. The tent I use every year is just two poles. They crisscross through the material, and then you put the little keys in through the
Yeah.
poles, and it stabilizes it, and it pops up. It's up in that way.
Oh,
All right.
that's also another thing that I was thinking about. I have seen a few people talking about this. Um, if you have a tent or if you're meeting up with people, make yourself noticeable or make your tent noticeable,
Yes.
because it will most likely become a sea in that camping ground, and you might forget where you're placed if you're half drunk. And if you're like seriously drunk and you want to go back to your tent, and let's say you've put like a bunch of flags or like a unicorn blow up thingy on top, you can be like, oh yeah, I just need to look for these things and then it'll be at my tent.
Yeah.
So be sure to make yourself noticeable or make your tent noticeable for yourself or for other people. If you're going alone, you don't really need to do that. But oh, that also brings me to it. If you're alone, there are Facebook groups where you can meet up with other people who are going alone, so that you're not all by yourself. You can just meet up with these people, and then you're not, like I said, alone at the concert, at the ritual. Ritual?
Yeah.
No, at the festival.
That's
I
what.
mean, so there are Facebook
Yeah.
groups, there are Reddit groups out there too. So just be sure to check those out, and you'll find lots of information there too. As
Yeah.
a fellow newbie who's going
Mhm.
to a festival for the first time and immediately doing the full thing, I don't know how I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to die, but I want to get the full experience for the first time. So I'm quite literally just full time on those Reddit groups. And whenever I see like a notification from Reddit, I'm like, okay, I need to check this out because it's someone asking as a first time voter themselves. So yeah, that's it. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, download. They actually have their own campsite called Camp Loner, and it is literally just for people who are on their own and to make friends, which is so cool. And yeah, like what you said about the definitely decorate your tent because again, I can only go off my experience for download and Red and Leeds. Everyone gets the same red and black tent from Argos. If you've been to download, you'll know exactly what tent I mean because it's the cheapest one, but it is a good one. So yeah, you will go into a field and just see a fucking field of red and black dome tents. Mine's got Camp Poontang on the side, so I know it's mine. But yeah, that's
We'll
how I
take
know
this
it's
school
mine.
forever.
Poontang Patrol. Right, I'm gonna wrap this up here. Just want to check. Has anyone got anything to add first before I wrap up?
Nope.
Um,
Stay hydrated.
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
that was what I was
Biggie.
gonna say.
Always
Stay hydrated.
Pretty much scrap everything we just said and just stay hydrated and you'll be good because that's the big thing because you can't be courteous to people if you're dying.
It's
for
true.
real because like well that it kind of goes with like what I was talking about before when I was talking about the Trinity of Terror show I went to. I know a ton of people like avoided like drinking and eating because they didn't want to like have to go to the bathroom in the middle of the show.
Been there.
But but there was also people like I think like 10 people passed out during there and the show had to stop each time someone passed out and they had to be like carried out and everything. So it's not a good time for you if you pass out, and it's also not a good time for everyone else. So take care of yourselves if you go to any outdoor venue. So whether you're going on the European Summit Tour or whether you're going to any of the outdoor shows in the US or really just any shows where you know like you're probably going to get like hot and like just exhausted, just take care of yourselves.
Yes.
Wear your sunscreen, kids.
Yes.
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 Don't be like me and have a sunburnt picture with Papa. That's embarrassing.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is your local Texan saying drink water, wear sunscreen, and invest in a fan if you're going to be outside for a long time. It's a good idea.
Yes.
Did I tell you
Uh,
about the pentagram sunburn I got?
No.
Yes.
Wait,
I
which
had
one?
of those. I had one of those harnesses on that does like a pentagram on your chest, and then I was at Download
Oh.
Festival, and it sunburned, and it went viral. I had a fucking pentagram sunburn, metal
Oh
as
my
fuck.
god.
That's awesome.
Uh,
That's better than mine because I didn't think about I was stupid. I didn't wear sunscreen and I wore this fishnet like sleeve thing and then I just
Ah,
had this like fishnet pattern all over my arms.
I think I have two small tips. Very short and sweet. If you want to get drunk, or better said, you don't want to be too drunk, but you still want to drink. You can drink alcohol, but drink water immediately after, so you don't get like alcohol can dehydrate yourself. So drink water. Water is your best friend out there. And if you're gonna be outside, even if you're just queuing for a concert, for my first concerts, when I was queuing outside, I brought a tiny little spray bottle with me that kind of saved me and several people's lives by constantly spraying them with cold water. So yeah, that's
Oh,
it.
that's awesome.
That's
that is a good idea.
genius.
Yes.
Also with the drinking, if you are going to be drinking, it's not only important to drink water just to keep yourself hydrated, but also you don't want to get too drunk where to the point where you don't remember the concert.
Yeah,
Yes.
especially if you forked out all that money.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, Cami, where can we find you?
I'm on Twitter, TikTok, and Tumblr, and it's YourFavGhestie.
All right, Katie.
I am on Twitter as at C2May, and I am on Tumblr as Katie Matey. And other than that, I really am not on social media.
And Shanti.
You can find me on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram under at CardiRatia. I'm not that online on Instagram, and I occasionally post on TikTok, and I ramble a lot on Twitter.
Yay. And I'm
Yay.
Elva. By the time this episode's come out, I will be on tour, so hopefully I've already said hi to some of you. But yay! Hopefully I'm not dead. Hopefully Papa hasn't killed me by Griftwood. Please, to future Alva, are you okay if he's played Griftwood?
Oh God,
All right.
I'm preparing myself for Lille if they were to play Griffwood, I'm gonna be dying. So future Shanti, if this is already out by Lille, are you fine? Have you drank?
Oh, you okay? I might be talking from the grave at this point, but yeah. I'll see you. We'll catch you in a few weeks, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.